Word.
Word, Bob Sapp. God bless that man, Bob Sapp. I'm feeling good today, people. Welcome to the Word on the Street podcast, coming to you live. It is June 10th, the year 2000, and Chael, and of course, that is the big breaking news that came out today. Pretty much the only thing we're going to discuss here today on this little mini show that we're doing here. With me, as always, is my producer, co-host, personal friend of mine. He is Jake from the MMA podcast. I call him Stone Cold Jake, however. How you doing?
What? You gonna flap your gums about what Triple H is gonna do to me? Over the top rope? 29 people? You're gonna kick Denver's ass? What? Go ahead, talk. What?
Doing very good as always, Ramses. Follow us on Twitter at I'm not at the Ant Jimmy Show. You're the Ant Jimmy Show. I'm the MMA podcast. As always, it is an honor to be on the line with you, Coach Huey, Ross Finkelstein. It's gonna be a good night.
Yep, it's gonna be a good night. But there is the good news, and then what could some people are considering the bad news to cover tonight. Of course, it is all Chael Sonnen related. And I just want to briefly make a program note here. Jake from the MMA podcast, he did, speaking of drug test fails, he did reveal that he was hopped up on some sort of goofballs or pills or something. I don't know what he's taken tonight. Jake, are you feeling okay? Can you make it through the entire podcast here? I just want to make sure before we get started, get into the good news.
I'm gonna try to. This news came down. Selfishly, I was pretty upset because I will be at UFC 175. Still gonna be some good fights, but I am a little distraught. We probably won't be seeing CP there, so I'm just trying to cope the best I can, Ramses.
Yep, and what he's talking about, for anybody that hasn't heard, of course you heard. If you're listening to this podcast, you know. The fight with Chael Sonnen versus Vitor Belfort at UFC 175 is off. It's been canceled by the UFC due to a reported drug test failure result that bounced back from our hero, our friend, the people's champion, Chael Sonnen. It happens in MMA, but that was the bad news, of course, the fight cancellation, and we'll talk about what the drug test exactly means and how bad this really is. And of course, I have a conspiracy theory. But joining us, our guest tonight to discuss the issue, and actually, I'm sure you can. Let's start off with the good news. What do you think? He is Team Sonnen's coach, MMA coach, boxing coach. Jamie, the living legend Huey, joining us. How are you doing, Jamie?
It's a good day to be alive, folks.
Hell yeah, it is, man. I'm feeling good. Even it started off, I thought it was going to be a bad one, but then we heard some good news, and you know what? Why don't you lead off with this story, Coach? What is the good news that we heard about Chael Sonnen today? And did you know about it beforehand? Was it a shock to you as well?
Well, the biggest news is obviously, our mantra used to be one more for the bad guys. It is now one more bad guy. Yes, Brittany.
It crashed on me. Let me call the coach back, dude. You there?
Yeah. You want me to take us off of the air or just keep going?
We're still. Oh, so you guys didn't drop.
The call just ended totally for me.
Okay, but we're still live right now then.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry to anybody listening. We're going to get the coach back on. We just had a little program failure here. It happens. And I apologize to everybody listening. Just in the middle of the good news. That's why I'll get to that when I cover the Chael Sonnen conspiracy theory I have. Who knows? Who knows why the connection just broke off mysteriously when we were reporting the greatest news possibly of the entire decade thus far. But we'll get Coach back and we'll just pretend like nothing ever happened.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the government.
Yo.
Yeah, sorry, Coach. the program exploded. They're out to get us.
I understand.
Man.
We're all so excited we can't even contain ourselves.
I know, and it was just right at the big news, the big announcement. So I'm sorry to make you repeat yourself, but once again, continue. I asked you if you had prior knowledge of the good news and what it was.
No, I didn't. I didn't know that they were having a kid, and I don't know if anybody did until we kind of said it earlier. Till Dana dropped the news for him. I don't know if that was something they were ready to put out there or not, but obviously it's out now. So,
how weird was that? Uncle Dana just randomly in the midst of a rant, like imagine that, like this kid, like that's his birth announcement, or his announcement that he was coming into this world is Dana White's rant midway through.
On national television.
I wonder who exactly knew that, because I mean, I'm sure there was a conversation with Dana and Chael about what was going on, and at some point Chael said, "Yeah, well, we've been trying to conceive, and here's the situation," and and then Dana goes out. So I honestly don't know, but I do kind of wonder, like, did the rest of his family know? Was it just something that that Chael and Brittany found out, and they were gonna do a formal announcement? I didn't have any knowledge of it, which I'd probably, when they're ready to tell people tell people. But yeah, I did think that was kind of funny the way that Dana threw it out there. But we're all excited about it.
It was almost preposterous. It was like a dramatic wrestling or soap opera angle, almost just casually thrown in there. Oh, guess what? He's also having a baby. It was like Vince McMahon-ish almost. But I loved it, of course. I love that stuff. But there's already speculation on the internet. Of course, these people, they're saying that this baby is just made up. Just as a distraction tossed in to a kind of right, to take away from the other news, of course, which we'll get to. But let's talk about Chael Sonnen having a baby. I think it's going to be a son. I mean, come on. We'll have a pool going and everything here on the podcast. We are the biggest Chael Sonnen fans alive out there. Team Sonnen representing. Coach,
yeah, it's great, man. I think it's awesome. I think the real story here is this guy could be it's possible that the baby was, I apologize ahead of time to Brittany and to Chael putting my business out there, but it's possible that the baby was conceived in Brazil. Okay, it is a possibility. So I mean, this very well could be a future leader of men. This could be if this possibly could be a president of the United States that saves us from all the problems of the world. I think that's the real story here, and I think the media is missing it.
They are, because if you are indeed correct and the baby was conceived in Brazil in some roundabout way, that means Chael Sonnen is going to have a half Brazilian baby.
You know what I mean?
How about that?
And it also speaks to all this GMO crap that they're feeding us in this country.
No
you go to Brazil and you eat some fresh organic vegetables and foods and fruits, and bam, things happen. All of a sudden
you're popping out kids just like they do left and right over there.
You know what I'm saying?
It's probably going to be twins.
It might be triplets.
It is good news, though. I was legitimately happy to hear it, and it did turn around. It took a bad day it took a bad day and turned it into a good one for me. Actually, I am congratulations to Mr. Chael Sonnen, and of course his wife Brittany, aka Brittany Smith. If you watched UFC Fight Pass, for some reason they screwed up her name on every. Well,
title card. Clayton hires is Clayton Lamar on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil 3. So, yeah.
Yeah, they do that. No, but congratulations to the Sonnen family. This is crazy. The dog's nuts, though. Danger. They might. Oh, I don't know. What are they going to do? Get rid of the dog or something now? I mean.
No. Danger Waffles isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw an updated photo of him. He looks even wilder than when we last saw him.
We haven't had a Danger Waffles report. We're gonna have to.
I know.
We have to see. Yeah.
It's been almost a year. I thought about actually we should have busted him out tonight for this news. But he will be back on soon. The Danger Waffles report will make its return, people. But yeah, have you had a chance to congratulate Chael yet or talk to him yet, Coach?
Yeah, real quick. I sent him and Brittany a text message earlier, and they both, texted me back. Hey, thank you, appreciate it. And, I'm sure his and Brittany's phones are probably ringing off the hook today. So, and mine were ringing off the hook today. And I don't,
Yeah.
so I can only imagine what theirs is doing.
Yep. How crazy was today, man? I mean, wow. Bad news, of course. We have to address it. But I hate going from a positive to a negative. I hate doing that. You know what? One more thing. So you're gonna be Coach Huey to this kid, or sorry, Uncle Huey to this kid, Uncle Coach Huey. Has Chael ever talked to you or mentioned, or have you guys ever discussed parenting or fatherhood at all in the past? Like, let's be honest. Do you think he's a great coach? You think he's gonna make a good father? What a layup question.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, his priority today, even despite all this stuff, was, he was talking about, given the choice of the sport that he does and being a dad. I mean, we've had conversations about a lot of stuff, and Chael had an amazing dad. If anybody's even curious about that, buy his book. I can't remember what chapter it is, but there's a chapter in his book about his dad, and I never had the honor to meet his dad, unfortunately, but just a little bit that we've talked about, when we were either in Vegas for the Ultimate Fighter, or even what I read in his book. I mean, I always credit my, if anybody ever gives me a compliment about, I'm a good coach, if somebody says something like that to me, I'm always honored to hear that, but I always kind of use it as a reflection of the coaches that coached me. I mean, really, everything that I learned, I didn't invent. It was really something that I learned from the great coaches that I was around, Bill Mertz and Charlie Rios and Tom Lustin and Clayton Hires and I mean, I could just go on. I mean, and Chael, I've learned so much just from Chael about coaching. I mean, Chael's an amazing coach. So, and I think he would say the same thing. It's guys like Roy Pittman and some of the coaches like Clayton that has, have coached Chael in this whole process, that kind of gives him insight on, what, how, when, and where, what to say, how to act, an example to set, whatnot. And so for Chael to be a father when he had such a good dad himself, I mean, all he has to do is just kind of follow the blueprint. So yeah, I'm excited for him and Brittany. I think they're going to do an amazing job. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, definitely. This kid, we wish him nothing but the best. Best news of the day. The Sonnen name will continue. It's only a matter of time, people. We are predicting we're targeting the birth for February of 2015. And that would mean if he's born in 2015, the kid Sonnen will be able to fight by the year 2032. And that should be around UFC. We should be up to
10 billion and 13.5.
Yep, it'll be around 8 in the 800s by then. Is the best estimate I've been given by someone online with too much time on their hands. Jake, before we move on to the bad news, the drug testing failure result and the cancellation of the fight, Jake, you're the producer, the co-host, but I barely know you. Have you ever had a kid, Jake?
You know what? I'm still pretty early on in my journey. I'm 24, but I hope to have a kid. One day, but to this point, I'm still a bachelor living in a one-bed apartment. No kids yet. I'm in no rush.
You're never gonna have any children, Jake. You
Thank
signed them
you.
away when you signed up to be a producer on this show. Show
Damn,
comes first.
I didn't
And
read the
that's
fine.
So,
I did.
so Ramses, what about all the podcast groupies? I mean, things could happen. It's possible.
no kidding. I take precautionary measures left and right, but you never know, man. I could be eating Brazilian fruit one week and then it's all over. Like maybe there is something happening there. This kid's part Brazilian. It's nuts. How ironic would that be? Okay, let's get to it, people. The bad news, of course, Chael Sonnen failed a drug test, random drug test.
I got to retract that, man. I think it was the Nevada Athletic Commission that failed in this matter.
I agree, man.
I'll
I
let
agree
you
too.
Continue.
Well, but no, let's talk about that. Chael Sonnen fails the test, but this is a failure on the part of the commission. You're 100% right. These people are just making it up as they go along. They outlawed TRT after it previously being legal. And then they claimed there was a transition phase, but here we are. Here's a plot hole. Here's a person who is transitioning off of it. But he gets popped for being on drugs that you have to take when you're coming off of the drugs that you just made illegal. And it's like, didn't anybody factor this in or think of it ahead of time? And the answer apparently is no, because we're just hit with this today. Even Sonnen used the word surprise, and I believe what he's referencing is they're just making this crap up as they go along. They're not planning ahead. It's all knee-jerk. The outlawing of TRT to begin with, that was a knee-jerk reaction. Coach
I actually
Huey,
have, sorry, I was gonna say I actually have a quote from Chael right here in front of us, and if we're gonna talk about it, we may as well hear it from the man himself's mouth. Did you want to pass it off to Coach Forrest first, or just have me read this because it is a little long?
let's play the Chael clip real quick, and then Coach, if you could react to it. As soon as Chael's done speaking, consider it your turn, sir.
I actually don't have the clip. I only have
it's
the
the quote?
transcript.
Okay.
So
Go for it.
yeah. Pass it to Coach first, and then I'll dig up the video of him on Fox Sports 1 today.
It's like a 15-minute video, actually, so I
We
don't
could
know.
call Tommy Toehold and we could have him read it and he could do his impression of Chael and nobody would know the difference.
His Micro Machines speed voice. Yeah. All right, well, Coach, the drug testing failure, the Nevada State Athletic Commission's failure. What's your take, man? What it was? How did you react? What do you think now?
Well, I mean, it's exactly, if you're going to allow somebody, you're going to give them a TRT exemption, okay, you granted them an exemption, then you're going to turn around and then you're going to ban it, at least allow somebody to take the necessary steps to. Here's the thing. I have a buddy named Joel, who he called me today and asked me a million questions, and we talked about all sorts of stuff, but MMA related. But he kind of wanted my take on it, and I was pretty honest. I'm like, dude, honestly, I don't know anything about this shit. I don't know how it works, and I don't think anybody else does either. And in which my buddy Joel was telling me, he says, he's been doing TRT. He got tested for TRT. I don't know, maybe a year ago. He tested somewhere around 150 was his level. So they put him on TRT, and he's telling me about some type of a pill or something they put in his hip, and it was supposed to last for 3 months. It was supposed to last, I believe he said, for 4 months. Mm-hmm. And about the third month, I don't know if it dissolves slowly within the body over a certain amount of time, but in about that 3-month period, I guess it ran its course. And he was telling me, he was like, dude, he goes, I was just depressed. He goes, I came home. He goes, I just wanted to sleep. He goes, one night, he goes, I come home from work and I log on to my computer to, check my email. And he goes, and I wake up like 4 hours later, hunched over in my chair. He goes, I just fell asleep. He goes, I don't even know what happened. He goes, so I called my doctor and, kind of told him what the situation was. And so they changed either his dosage and they started putting him on the shots instead of on the hip pill or whatever the hell they call it anyway. But he was telling me that he went through this process of, when he started to come off that TRT, he really went through a low point, depression and whatnot. So, just kind of based on his story, I've never been on it myself, but I understand that there is ramifications for just, it's like you go scuba diving and you're down 100, or I don't know how freaking far you'd scuba dive, but you're down there and then all of a sudden you decide to come up too fast. I mean, you get the bends and, there's a process to slowly coming up out of the water to get back into the boat. And much like TRT, I believe it's the same process in regards to a process, not just, you don't just go off of it.
Right.
So
that's a great metaphor.
It's confusing. I wish I could speak more eloquently about this stuff, but I really don't know. And I don't think anybody does. And the worst part of it is the guy's job that it is to know this stuff. They don't even seem like they have a process in place for it. It's like you use the word knee-jerk reaction. I think that's exactly what's going on here. They just don't. I don't know if it's so new and they don't know, or if they're just lazy and they don't want to do their job. I'm not a big fan of big government. Anytime you get bureaucrats and stuff, they're it's just a bunch of guys running around trying to justify why they need to make more rules or make more laws. And so many times, man, I've cornered fighters at professional boxing matches and MMA and UFC and whatnot. And these guys just don't have any clue what they're doing. They're in the way. I'm trying to get up the steps to get into the ring to work a cut on a fighter, give him some water, some instruction. And the guy's standing in my way. He doesn't even know where he needs to stand half the time. And these are the guys that are making, the commissioners. All these guys are the ones that are making the rules. I mean, they don't know anything about what they're doing half the time, even geographically where they need to stand to get the hell out of my way so I can get in there and I have 1 minute to work on my fighter. Yep. And these are the same clowns that are running around making all these rules up. It's ridiculous, man. I don't. It's frustrating. It's frustrating what it is.
Yeah, and the biggest shame is that the fight gets canceled because of because it's something that has nothing to do with him cheating. It's not like he's jacked up and taking anabolic steroids.
Yeah, and we're talking about, we're not even. I don't want to confuse the issue. We're not talking about Chael being on TRT. Chael is not on TRT. Yep. Chael was taking he was taking something prescribed by his doctor that's not a PED. It was something to help him work through the process of getting, from point A to point B. And, it's the same thing. I remember my coach telling me, one of my amateur boxing coaches, one year, the Olympic committee, I can't remember who the fighter was, but got in trouble because they took caffeine. They have a elevated level of caffeine in their system. And so, it's like Chael said, it's like, tell me what the rules are and I'll follow the rules. I'm following the rules. I want to follow the rules, but the people that are making the rules they don't know what they're doing.
And they're changing the rules as they go along is the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we banned TRT. Okay, cool. All right. Everybody knows you got to. Okay, so then what? Nothing. You don't hear shit. So what do? You call your doctor. Okay, well, I need to get off this because, this is okay. Well, this is what you need to do to get off it. Okay, I'm going to get off it. I'm working off. And then all of a sudden you get in trouble because you're doing what your doctor told you to do that's safe in order to get off the same thing that they just banned that they gave you an exemption for before. I mean, do they not have doctors working for the athletic commissions? I don't understand it, man.
They got doctors working for them, just repeating whatever they want them to say is what it looks like. But yeah, it is that's the problem with the knee-jerk reaction. Of course, the commission bans TRT overnight, just bans it, and it's like, wow, is that the mindset? Like now they think because they can just ban it, cold turkey. Like their attitude is that the fighters can just come off of it cold turkey. Like,
well, they
it's
should
ridiculous.
know they should know there is, and they should have a doctor that says, okay, who are the fighters that have the exemption? These are the fighters. Okay, we need to get a hold of these guys. When you say, all right, you need to talk to this doctor. This is what you need to do, and this is how long you have to do it.
It's ridiculous, man.
Sounds simple to me. I'm not a doctor. I'm a boxing coach, but I mean, it's common sense, right?
It's they changed a rule to make it almost impossible for Chael to compete under these conditions. I mean, they it's like, well, you hate to say, oh man, it isn't fair, but this is a case where it simply isn't fair.
I mean,
they had him stop the TRT, and now he's back. Yeah,
I mean, even the VADA testing Twitter, they are a drug testing group, and 9 hours ago they tweet out, you can't just tell an athlete whom you previously gave permission to simply stop stop TRT without having any medical consequences. It is absurd.
It's irresponsible.
Well, yeah, and there very well could be another. I mean, there's other factors here. I mean, Chael didn't get too much into detail, but he was talking about how him and Brittany were trying to conceive a child. Okay, so what Chael does outside of the fight game is his business. So if there was something that he needed to be prescribed so that him and his wife could, have children, then that's fine. If he doesn't show up to the fight on whatever that is, that's nobody's fucking business. You know what I mean? It's like,
damn right.
I've had friends that I've worked with the Pat Healy thing. That's another thing to me that, the guy, he smoked weed a month ago. He takes a drug test. He gets nailed with the lowest, the point, whatever the bare minimum was to have THC in your body. And then, he loses his money. He gets
$100,000 bonus gone, taken from him.
It's nobody's freaking business, man. Last time I checked, I mean, I thought we lived in a free country, and especially in some of these states like Washington State, Oregon. If you have a medical marijuana card, man, look, if your doctor says that this is what you need to, I mean, it's no problem. You can go out and get all these prescription drugs, but if somebody gets a doctor's note and medical marijuana is something prescribed to them by the doctor, then it's nobody's freaking business. You know what I mean? A guy smokes marijuana a month ago. He gets popped on a test before his fight, but he hadn't done anything for a month. You know what I'm saying? It drives me nuts, man. I saw guys at my last job that, guys that get, I mean, if you show up to work on something you're not supposed to be on, absolutely. But when you're not at work, man, it is nobody's freaking business. And it's unfortunate. I think we're kind of losing sight of that in this country where, corporations and government are really, they're just gaining more and more power, and the government gets bigger. They make more laws, and unfortunately we lose more rights. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of going on a rant here, but I kind of think that this is another example of that.
Nope, you're absolutely right. It is a bureaucracy, an agency, an organization. It has the powers, of course. It is stretching it out. In this case, I would say, I don't know if it's abuse. It is definitely negligence of some kind. It's irresponsible, and basically they're guilty of ignorance, in my opinion. Ignorance, knee-jerking reactions, but Chael Sonnen had to weigh in himself. I think we should hear from him. Damn it,
Yeah,
this is America. He has the right to speak his mind. Stone Cold Jake.
I have the 15-minute clip on Fox Sports, which is probably a little too lengthy, but he had a shorter interview on the Jay Moore radio show, and
Yeah.
honestly, I'll just quote Chael word for word. Quote, they changed the ruling in Nevada earlier this year, doing away with the TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, and I was on that. So when they changed the rule, we all had to go through a transition phase. For me, during the transition, I had to take a couple of things. One is called clomiphene, and another is called HCG, which is human chlorionic gonadotropin. I didn't fight it or ask for a license. In the interim, they did a test, and I tested positive for these things, which I should have because I took them and they were in my system. That was not a surprise. These aren't anabolics, these aren't steroids or PEDs, but they've deemed that they are banned substances. What's interesting in my case is that we're out of competition. These aren't things that I showed up with on game day. This is out of competition due to a rule that they changed, so it's an odd spot for me. More followed up. So you weren't fighting when you tested positive for this thing that the athletic commission decided was no longer legal. You took yourself out of the octagon to get it out of your system. So why did you hand in a drug test if you weren't fighting? And Chael responded, what happens is they do out-of-competition testing, and the lab that they went to is the USADA lab, which is the greatest lab in the world. But it's a very sensitive test. We've done our own test at our own labs, and we thought everything was out of our system. These weren't secrets that I took these substances. This is what you have to take coming off TRT. They can handle it however they want. They can say that it makes sense, or they can say that they don't like it. The confusing part is that for a non-anabolic, non-steroid, non-PED agent that is perfectly legal and I need for a healthy life, essentially they're saying you have to choose between health and sport. It's very tough for me because I was very upfront about it being in my system. Why was it in my system? Because I took it. I've been taking it, and I had to take it because you guys, the NSAC, changed the rules. I now have to go to a hearing, and I have to fight in 30 days. There's no way the hearing will be before then. It's just kind of a tough spot. We're not looking to do anything underhanded here. But there's a bit of confusion on the rule. It's kind of tough when you're going, oh, this is a banned substance? Well, where do we find that? Who exactly do we go to for clarity on this? The NSAC has always been very clear, whether it's Nevada, who has a new director at the helm, but the old director, he's been very clear, I think he's talking about Keith Kaiser there, that there's a clear distinction between game day and out of competition testing. Now you can never take an anabolic, and I understand these things as you do, but this is not a steroid. This is not an anabolic. These are substances that I had to go on for the transition. I'm also having, this is a private part of my life that I wasn't planning on sharing with anybody, but I am also having fertility issues. My wife and I are. I support the rules. We're not complaining here. It's just a bit of confusion, and like I said, the 15-minute clip of Chael on Fox Sports might be a little long, but I have a 4-minute clip of Chael Sonnen, who actually came on about 5 minutes before Chael. I can play as well too. It was the part where Chael kind of blew up where Dana kind of blew up Chael and Brittany's whole news about having a kid, but
so you have the Dana clip.
yeah, the Dana clip is 4 minutes long, and I was sort of curious what sort of line Dana was going to take on it, because Dana seems to always take a very harsh line or a very sympathetic line, and Dana seemed to sort of be on Chael's side, which Dana's always a good guy to have in your corner when it comes to matters like these.
Well, Coach Huey, do you have time to listen to the Dana clip, or do you want us to let you let you.
No. Go ahead, guys. No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, Jake, man.
Yeah,
Let's play it.
yeah,
Let's listen to Dana White.
The
Roll
Chael
that
clip
beautiful
is
green footage.
Yeah, the Chael clip is far too long, but let's hear what Dana had to say about all of this on Fox Sports 1, which I guess I will give them a plug. This video is on the UFC on Fox channel, so go and subscribe to them.
UFC President
Here's
Dana White. And Dana, first of all, when you heard the
Stone
news, what was your
Cold
reaction?
Dana.
I'm not shocked by the reaction. I mean, my reaction isn't shock. This has been lingering. This has been, this stuff was legal. TRT was legal. Then the Nevada State Athletic Commission said it's illegal now. It's got to go away. But there's going to be effects of stopping this thing cold turkey. It just doesn't work that way.
So how do you, as the UFC president, help fighters who are on this stuff? I mean, I know it just came out, the TRT. How do you help the other fighters that are on this stuff right now get it out of their system before they get busted for the same thing?
Nobody's on it. Just to clear the air here, nobody is on TRT. And we only had 5 guys out of over 500 that were on TRT. And it was absolutely legal. And then the Athletic Commission changed the ruling and said it is now a banned substance. You cannot take it. So there's only 2 of our big stars that are still dealing with the effects of TRT. It's Chael Sonnen and Vitor Belfort. And this thing has been bad since day one. I wish that the commission never let anybody use TRT. And when it went away, they didn't do a very good job of figuring out how to get these guys off it. When you get off it, you don't just go cold turkey. There's things that you have to do. If they don't take these estrogen blockers, they can get side effects from it.
Right.
Chael Sonnen's at this point in his life, in his career where he got married. He's trying to have children. He was on medicine to get fertile and to be able to have a baby.
Right.
Yes. And his wife is now pregnant. So it worked, so this is between Chael and the commission, but the rules should have been laid out better when they said, that's it, it's over. Because here's the big problem, too, is that even when it was legal, the athletic commission and all the doctors were never on the same page with the ratios and all these other things. It was always a nightmare, so it had to go away. I'm glad it's gone, and we're just dealing with all
Dana,
the aftermath.
With everything that's gone down, we knew this was coming down, so who's ultimately at fault for this? I mean, who's to blame for things like this happening?
Well, both are at fault. I think the Nevada State Athletic Commission could have laid it out better for how they were going to end this thing, what would be banned and what wouldn't be banned, and the guys coming down off it. But again, it's a matter of they're not very educated on TRT. It's the thing that's made this whole thing impossible anyway. And it's Chael's fault too, because Chael should have called the athletic commission and said, this is what my doctor told me I need to do to come down off this stuff. So here's what I'm taking. He absolutely should have done that.
We want to have Chael on the show. Hopefully we can get him soon. But have you spoken to Chael? How did he explain this to you?
Yeah, I think that nobody's going to explain this to you better than Chael, because Chael had conversations with his doctors, and Chael's looking at this thing like, I shouldn't be in a situation where I have to choose between either my job and and the sport and, my health and my life outside of fighting. He's right about that.
We're going to get Chael in just a second. But real quick, I want to ask you about this because it's out there on Twitter and people are reacting harshly to this. Do you think that because of this, there's a perception that your sport has a drug problem, just because of the perception that's out there?
No, absolutely not. For us, I mean, we've been the guys who've taken drug testing head on. We've worked with the athletic commissions to take, out of competition testing. We are paying big money for some of these guys to be tested. John Jones wanted Glover and him to be tested all the way through the lead up to their last fight, and we paid for that too. There's nobody out there that's doing more for testing than we are. And this whole thing that was blown out of proportion by the story that ESPN did, where they said that these exemptions were rampant throughout mixed martial arts. There were only 5 guys out of 500 that had testosterone exemptions.
I got you. Hey, Dana, thanks for coming on with us today to explain everything that's going on. We're going to have Chael on a little bit later on in the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And that's it.
You know, it's interesting. Kind of what part of that was, this kind of had me thinking what he was saying about the TRT. Just kind of, automatically, it became a banned substance, and the guys that did have legal exemptions to be on it were, I don't know. The whole process of coming off it was never addressed. Kind of reminded me
Still isn't.
about a year ago, they started putting these red light cameras up here where I live in Oregon. And I remember reading about it about 4 months before before they started putting these red light cameras in. Hey, we're going to start putting these red light cameras in because people are, they're making a right turn on a red light, which is legal, but they're not coming to a complete stop before they do it.
Yeah.
Right. So basically what they were saying was, hey, there's a law that's being broken here, and we're letting you know in 4 months, we're going to start putting up cameras to catch guys that are breaking this law. Now, so taking that into context of what we're talking about, now TRT was a legal substance. This wasn't against the law, but they didn't it didn't seem like they gave anybody any notice that they were going to change the rules on this. It just became an overnight automatic.
Yep.
I just woke up one day and I think I pulled up one of the proverbial MMA news sites, and also TRT's banned, and I'm like, whoa, okay, wow. I don't even remember reading a conversation of the athletic commission is going to meet next month to discuss the possibility of banning it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed the whole story, but I don't remember anything like that. So, I mean, they really dropped the ball on this whole thing.
Everything is just, it's coming out of nowhere. I believe that organization is run in such a manner that they are actually operating on a day-to-day basis. I believe that.
And I think most of the commissions, unfortunately, they work that way. I mean, I worked in Invicta card in, where was I? It was in, I guess Kansas City or Missouri, whatever, Kansas City. I was in Invicta card over there with Liz. And I remember the night before the fight, one of the commissioners walks in, and I'm standing there, Shannon Knapp, and all the people from Invicta and the fighters and a couple coaches. And one of the commissioners just walks in and goes, hey, the doctor called, he's not going to make it, so we're just going to have to cancel the show. And I mean, seriously, like he walked in and just blatantly just puked this bad news all over the table, that this gigantic card of Invicta that everybody's made weight, and he just walks in and says, we can't have a doctor, so we're just going to have to cancel the event. Like, talk about an adversarial relationship between
that's the mindset
the commission
here.
And everybody. Your job is to get the doctor. Your job, the guy walks in and he just says it like that, and everybody's kind of like, what the hell is this guy's deal? They work with us here, buddy. Okay, so the doctor's not going to show up. Okay, so what can we do to get another doctor? But this guy just walks in and just throws this out there. So I think it's kind of a situation, man, where these commissions, they're just not, what are they doing? They're not doing their job, whatever their job description is.
It's almost exactly what's happening here. They're just saying there's no doctor's guidelines. We don't know. We have no leeway. No, we haven't even thought about this route. We're just going to cancel the fight. You failed the test, Chael Sonnen.
And what's super wild with this one issue, I mean, no one really knew anything about TRT until I think it was summer 2011, and Nate Marquardt was supposed to fight Rumble Johnson at UFC on Versus 4, and then the day before the weigh-ins, we hear Nate didn't pass some test, and then Dana cut him the next day, and it was all of this stuff, with a TRT. I mean, we're sort of learning about it as we're going on, and it's sort of like we're trying to build this house without first laying the foundation of what we know. It is completely bonkers, man.
I understand how complicated it is, but at the same time, I mean, that's their job. You know what I mean? It's like that is what your job is as a commission. So just do your job. If it's complicated, then find somebody else that can do it. But yeah, these guys they want to show up and they want to get a paycheck and they want to put on a shiny badge in their left pocket and walk around and tell the cut man that oh, don't put tape here and don't put tape there on the hand wraps, and you know what I mean. And they want to police all this simple. Man, even working cuts sometimes it's like, if you have like epinephrine, they want to smell it. And I'm like, look, dude, I'm thinking in my head, the guy wants to inspect all this stuff. And I'm looking at this guy and thinking, you don't even know what you're looking at. I mean, is this your first time to a boxing match? Like, do you even know what you're looking for right now? Grenades, I mean, the perception of you wanting to check everything. Yeah. The perception of you wanting to check everything. Like, I understand that's your job, but you're putting on a front because you really don't even know what you're looking for. And the fact that I've had a lot of bad experiences with commissioners, man. There's some good ones out there, but some of these athletic commissions and commissioners and stuff, man, Dana White does a better job of policing the fighters than the people that are put in place to protect the fighters, I think we'll ever do.
Yeah, I gotta be real. These commissioners, man, sometimes they creep me out. Like, they look almost fake. Like when you're watching the WWE wrestling and how the ref, you can just look and you can tell that's not a real ref. It's just some guy with the shirt on.
Keith Kaiser looked like a mannequin in a J.C. Penney's. Sorry.
Yeah, well, weird crap like that. You see them in their jackets, their red jackets at UFC in the cage, and it's like they don't even look like real people. These commission persons, it's like, oh, and some of them look so like, no offense, but they look so dumb. It's like you could probably walk up to them and just push them over. Like they don't look real to me for some reason, and some of them are just full on, like, I'm sorry, people, they look like Guido connected Italians. All right, we've all seen those types, but I wanted to get just a little bit. Let me tell you what my bottom line is real quick, and we'll get everybody's bottom line on this. Bottom line with me is I believe that all drugs should be legal. Within reason, of course. I believe that TRT, they shouldn't have outlawed it or banned it. I think if you know how to safely take testosterone injections in your body, therapy, or different vitamin supplements, whatever drugs are out there, well, of course, within reason, I believe you should be allowed to. I'm of the opinion that, a lot of good people, smart people, spent a lot of time, doctors, developing and testing this crap to make the human body perform better, to make it, potentially the goal is to make everybody healthier overall, live longer, be stronger, function. And the fact that if it were up to me, I would legalize steroids in MMA and every sport right now. I'd do it right now. I want to see what human potential can do for us. I want to see where science and medical advances can take us safely, of course, regulated, yes, but not banned outright. To me, this is the equivalent, and I'll get your takes, guys. This is the equivalent of, let's say I watched the show Game of Thrones, right? Let's say I were to go back into that world or into those times, and I'm like and I got a bow and arrow, and I'm an archer, right? Back in the medieval times, I'm an archer, and I sign up for a tournament. All right, and so I sign up to this tournament back in the Dark Ages. Sorry, this would be 1500s something. So I show up there with my bow and arrow, but I'm the only motherfucker that has glasses. All right, and then they tell me I can't compete in this tournament because I'm using glasses. This is the exact same to me in my mind. This is how ridiculous it is. So the same reason I can't get a bottle of hooch on a Sunday. All right. I won't even go into the religion thing, but I'm just saying this is how ridiculous the whole argument sounds to me. I think the juice should be loose. What are your guys' bottom lines? I don't care. Open mic on the Word on the Street podcast.
Go ahead, Coach.
No, it's a great example. I mean, you know, you're right. I mean, if a guy's an archer, and he's got a pair of glasses, is he cheating? Because if the guy he's competing with has got 20/20 vision, but he's got 20/10 vision, he's got a pair of glasses on now, he's got 20/20 vision. Is he really cheating? I mean,
That's right, man.
It's a good example. You know, the bottom line here for me is just, you know, Chael's kind of a groundbreaker when it comes to this stuff. I mean, obviously what's going to happen, the good news is because of this situation, they're going to be forced to put something in place. Okay, well, TRTs, obviously there's things that you need to do to come off it. They're going to have to come up with some type of a ruling. I mean, there's going to be, okay, so maybe there's only 5 guys in the company right now that are, you know, that have a TRT exemption, but there's going to be other guys that are fighting in various organizations right now that, you know, that I don't, maybe at another commission at a state, my point is there's guys that are going to come in the sport that are going to be on TRT. So this isn't going to go away. What do you do with those guys? They get signed to the UFC, now what? I mean, or they get signed in to the RFA or World Series or any organization because they've got to deal with the same commission. These guys need to know what they need to do. I mean, what is the process of coming off of TRT? And it's really kind of a, you know, from talking to my buddy Joel today, he was telling me, he goes, you know, the thing is, he goes, the doctor told me, he goes, because I'm on TRT, he goes, this is something I'm going to have to do for the rest of my life. I have no option. He goes, once you start TRT, he goes, your body will stop manufacturing natural testosterone because it's kind of, it gets used to, you know, you getting your injections or the cream or the hip pill or whatever he was telling me about. So, I mean, what are you going to do with that? Now you got a situation where, you know, maybe a guy, he got an exemption because his testosterone level was, I don't know, 250, right? So now he's on TRT, his levels are back up to 800 or whatever, 1200, whatever normal is supposed to be. Now this guy comes off TRT, his levels aren't going to go back down to 250. Under my understanding, they're going to go even lower than they were than he originally tested because the body's process of producing that natural testosterone is going to change. So, I mean, there's all these variables, man. They're going to have to figure this stuff out. I mean, and with technology and all, and where medical science is going, this stuff's only going to get worse. I mean, this is changing the quality of somebody's life. I agree that, I know Dana's not a big fan of TRT and the complications of everything that comes with it. But the fact of the matter is those commissioners and the commission is there for a reason to do a job, and all these questions that we have now and all these questions that are going to continue to come up in the future, it's their job to address it. It's their job to make the rules. It's their job to put in place, you know, the process. So if they're not doing that, then it's only going to get worse for everybody. The fans, you know, shows being canceled, like, you know, Vitor and Chael's fight. I mean, that was a big draw. UFC Fan Expo that weekend. You know, you know how many thousands of people are upset about Allen and Yao's fight. I mean, a lot of people were headed to Vegas to see the rematch.
No kidding, man.
And
now it's going to hurt our numbers.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, we're going to take a big hit now.
Yow's on TRT.
It's ridiculous, man. I don't know. If it, you know, really the situation is with the commission is if you guys can't figure this out, step aside and let's find somebody that can. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it.
It's back.
That's my word on the street. Yeah.
And Coach, like sort of to play off what you're saying, I've seen so many people who don't know the full scope saying, "Oh well, I don't see why Chael can't just not do it and fight with a lower T, blah blah blah." Like these people don't get that fighting with a lower level of T or just living with a lower level of T, like it's not just you're gonna fight less. It's sort of like you said, you are gonna be falling asleep on at your desk. You are gonna have trouble trying to have kids. You're going to be just
you're depressed.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Go through a depression. Yeah.
And
I mean, it's all just such a big mess. I mean, if I have the choice of living a happy, life versus showing up to a job, and they're going to put a bunch of stupid rules in front of me. I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's something bigger here than just the competing in a mixed martial arts an event. I mean, we're talking about people's lives here. This is so much bigger than two guys going in there and duking it out with 4 ounce gloves.
And one of the saddest things of all of this is we have we have the science to where we can test people and see, well, Chael was taking X drug and Y drug, but they can still test his levels and see, hey, well, his levels are normal, so this should be allowed because he's taking X and Y to get his levels to a normal place. It's not like Vitor, who I think tested at like 15, like I don't know the specific number, but his
13,
levels were totally high, and we have the science to a check. Well, Chael is taking this and this, which aren't we can see if his levels are normal, and if that test is available to us, I don't see why we can't just say, well, Chael is taking this and this, but his levels are normal, so it should be allowed.
The saddest part of all this crap is that it does no good to anybody. Here we go. Like, how is preventing, like, Chael Sonnen's a 37-year-old man. These rules, this crap that happened today is preventing a 37-year-old man from being in good enough physical peak condition at his ability, his levels, to compete and fight for a living. Like these rules are set in place so that now it's making it impossible for him to get his body to where it needs to be at the best it could be at 37. That doesn't make any sense.
Because he was doing something that they legally allowed him to do. It's like, basically, we're gonna hand down a lifetime ban because you did something in the past that we allowed you to do. It makes no sense.
Yep.
Well, that would be the same as saying, okay, a football player goes out there on a Sunday, he breaks his leg, they put a steel rod in his leg because whatever bone's broken, and okay, well, that steel rod's going to have to be in there because that's supporting the bone that was weakened by the break that happened in a fight, right? So now is he cheating? Because it's the same thing. Like you wake up, as you get older in life, your testosterone levels drop off. Sometimes it happens at a young age. I mean, it's just it's one of those biological things that, some guys wake up and they have cancer, your testosterone levels go down. I mean, there's things that happen. So in order for you to bring your levels back up to normal, how is that different than somebody that, tore a ligament in their leg and they replaced it with something else in order for them to be able to still go out and compete on a football field? I mean, shouldn't they say, well, you can't put any metal objects or screws or plates in any bones or anything, or sometimes they have to refabricate, a guy's, femur or something because, it's never going to structurally be as strong. Is that illegal because you're using something to strengthen something that was, you know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like,
Even a
where do you
rod.
draw the line on this stuff?
Exactly. That's the problem. The commission isn't even thinking of these lines ahead of time. It appears that it's like, what are these people all just? What are they just all just sitting on a board here? This is like their part-time gig, being on the commission for the most part.
And it shouldn't take something like this in order for them to start figuring that stuff out. I mean, okay, guys, here's the problem. TRT, I guess that's what they decided. I mean, I'm for it too. I think TRT should be legal, but if that's what they decided, that's the rules. Okay, we know what the rules are. You sign up for the contract. Okay, you go into it. They change the rules. Okay, but nobody thought of, all right, how do we go about getting these guys safely off of this stuff? I mean, that now they're going to have to address it. But the problem is, guys like Chael or they're going to end up, they're the ones that suffer because the commission didn't do the right thing in regards to laying out the process of how you go about going from our rules that we changed to what the rules are now. And, it shouldn't take, and you get all these dummies on Twitter. Oh, Chael's on steroids. Like, hey,
shooting,
you guys have absolutely, that's the other problem. You should get all these guys that, don't, and I don't know, what I mean? I don't know, but I'm not going to make
headlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, the headline was he fails drug test. So, of course, everyone thinks he was on steroids when that was not the case. That's the saddest part. That's the saddest part is that Chael is not able to keep his body like at the peak of where it can be medically. And I mean, what is the point of all this? There's nothing positive coming out of this. Everybody loses. The UFC, Chael, Vitor, Brazil, the USA, the fans, the people that wanted to see this.
Egg on their face. Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody
And for what?
won.
And for what? He wasn't. It's not like he's sitting there getting jacked up every day like the Ultimate Warrior. We're not talking about that. He was trying to come off something that they changed the rules and made illegal all of a sudden overnight. And now since there's a gray area, like he said when that doctor walked in and tried to, or that guy walked in, commissioner walked in and tried to cancel the Invicta fight. The commission has no idea what to do. So of course, it's a drug test failure. Now everybody loses. Everybody on this podcasting network, family of mine that was going to be there in Las Vegas for UFC 175. Now they're not going to get to see this fight. And for what? He wasn't even cheating. How sad is that?
Yeah, because he would. Because he wants to have a kid? Really?
Yeah, and what? You can't quit it cold. You just can't. That's the bottom line. They basically created rules and put them in place so that he would either have to quit or get fired, like from this fight. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's preposterous. It's the saddest thing I've seen, beside from the marijuana victims, of course, like Pat Healy, who they breathe in the smoke from a plant that was lit on fire, a natural growing plant, and now they're a cheater. They're humiliated. He lost $100,000. Jessica I, who knows how much she lost. She was humiliated. It's sad. It's the same crap. It has no purpose other than it's just written down somewhere that it's illegal. It's banned. And there's no exception. Nobody takes a look at it case by case. Why can't they do that? I hope Chael does appeal. I hope this does get not only overturned, but I hope it leads to some sort of change as far as this policy goes, because it's murky, and honestly, I don't think there is a policy written down. Not when you're taking into account the banning of TRT that came overnight.
I mean,
it's sad.
We have got to allow medical exemptions for fighters who got a therapeutic use exemption for TRT. If not, you're ending careers unfairly, period.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep. It's like you were saying, Coach, it's like if you get hired and they just out of nowhere. It's like if the boss starts creating like rules just to paint you into a corner so that you can't work. You either have to quit or get fired intentionally. You can't just keep changing the rules on somebody and not work with them. There is no system in place to work with them. I think that's what Chael was getting at when he said they weren't even returning his phone calls. That's a damn travesty. But yeah, it looks like this fight is over, man. Not going to happen. It's a damn shame. Since it's not going to happen, man, I'll be honest, man. This fight was 51% 50 in my mind. It wasn't 50-50, 51% Chael in my mind. I'll be honest now that it's not happening, all right? I don't have to be like, oh, he's going to destroy Vitor 100%. I don't have to play that angle right now. It was going to be a close fight, a tough fight, probably the last fight. I was guessing it might be the last fight of his career, but Coach, last question before we just end this thing. Do you think that Chael Sonnen will even bother anymore at this point, trying to get licensed to fight? He is appealing, but if that falls through, do you think he's just going to up and retire because of this, let's face it, this bullshit?
I have no clue.
What would you do? I mean, do you think he should? I mean, he's got a kid coming next year. Should he take some time off? I mean, it's not a big secret that he's well off. He could take a little vacation, I'm sure. What would you do, man? I'm just curious. Would you be so frustrated and angry that you just quit the biz? Let's say you're Chael.
I don't know, man. I'd really have to kind of think about that a little bit more before obviously I don't speak for Chael. I speak for me personally as a friend of Chael. The guy's I think he's a borderline genius with what he's accomplished inside and also outside of the octagon. I personally, as a friend, I know Chael has a lot more fights left in him. He's far from the end of his career. But I've been around boxing for so long. I mean, I've been around, going down to some of the gyms in Vegas, and I see some of these old boxers, former world champions, and some of them are just kind of a little glossy eyed, and they're walking around, and you take a certain amount of shots in your career, and unfortunately, some guys don't come back from that. Personally, as a friend, I want to see the Chael that I know now, because the guy's, he's so articulate, he's so well spoken. If he's doing an interview after a fight, or if he's doing a sportscasting on Fox or something. So, for me, he's got a kid. He's done. I remember running the hill with him, and Clayton Hires told him one time, he says, man, he goes, you know what you need to do? He goes, you need to work hard now so you don't get to my age and you don't have to, you don't have to show up to work every day. You can do what you want to do, not what you have to do. And, I never forgot Clayton saying that. And, so, Chael's a huge success, man. He's got so many opportunities, inside, or outside the octagon, just as much as or probably more than he does in the octagon. So, as a friend, I'd like to see the Vanderlei fight. And then if he said, you know what, I'm going to hang it up, then it's not because it wouldn't be a tragedy. It would be the end to a brilliant career from one of the greatest people I know. So I would be, I would like to see this. I would like to see that kind of a storyline play out. But ultimately, anytime I've ever thought to give Chael advice when something comes up in regards to, somebody said something, or he called this guy out, or this happened, or, you get these little ideas in your head like, oh man, he should say this. And then what Chael's done, and I never really give him that advice, but I think, oh, this is the way I think he should play it. He'll do the complete opposite of what I thought he should do. And it was 10 times greater than anything I ever could have thought of.
Like Vince McMahon.
So it really, man. So for me, it's like, so when it comes to that type of stuff, man, I I'm just like everybody else. I just kind of sit back in my chair and say, okay, he's going to, whatever I think is going to be the way to deal with this. So in that regard, as far as, how he decides to retire, hang it up at some point, he's got a better idea what he wants to do with his career than I do or anybody else. So, I support him no matter what. But, for me, it's just like, I don't want to see a guy, a friend of mine get in there and even winning fights, you're going to take physical abuse. Even winning fights, you're going to get hit. You're going to get slammed. You're going to tweak things and hurt things. So, as a friend, you want to see your friends do well, and he's done well, and financially he's in a situation where he can take care of his family. So, why risk that? It is my opinion.
I'm with you on what you said earlier, though. Chael can paint a picture for you and make it something that you didn't even see. He'll throw that curveball. We saw him on Fox Sports hours after the news broke. And honestly, I'm not accusing him of any crime or being a criminal, but what I saw basically was a man talk himself out of handcuffs on live television. Not that he did anything wrong or criminal, but you get what I'm saying. This guy, if he wasn't fighting, he'd be selling insurance or expensive cars, not used cars.
When someone fails a test, pretty much every single time, whether it's I didn't know this, that, I don't think I've ever been like, you know what, I think he's right. But Chael, I mean, I think it proves to two things. A, Chael is one of the most amazing speakers the sport has ever seen. And two, the circumstances that he's been put in are really different than any other quote unquote failed test we've seen in this sport, or any sport for that matter,
Yep, exactly, man. He is a unique case, and the problem with the commission is they don't have anything in place. They don't have the foresight or the framework in place to look at things case by case like they should be. This is all just blanket type A personalities.
I wanted to touch on one thing you said earlier when you were like, honestly, make everything legal, which I don't know. I agree and I don't, because
obviously not crystal meth or something.
Well, yeah.
Messed up in the octagon.
Yeah. But you let
that
guys.
Makes for good TV.
I'd buy that pay-per-view, but I understand why it can't be legal.
They start stealing metal off the cage to recycle.
Awesome. Teeth are easily knocked out.
Whoever the champion recycles the belt to buy more meth.
We would see a ton more people biting off ears than Tyson did. But like you make
cash.
You make anabolic steroids legal, then it means everyone's going to be on them, which means if you want to fight at the top level, you've got to be on them, and we know the long-term effects aren't good. So things like that, I don't know, but things like the Chael things like, I think way back in '98, there was this golfer, Casey Martin, and they're like, oh, well, the rules of golfing are you're not allowed to use a golf cart, and Casey Martin was a disabled person. Yeah, and he couldn't walk. And it's really sort of similar. Like the guy didn't want any special, things, but he just wanted to be able to train and compete on the same level, and them not letting him do that pretty much took him out of the sport.
That's a great. I remember that. Yeah, he was He had and they were saying, well, we got to make his ass walk across the whole field like everybody else, because that's part of the process of getting tired by the time you get to the next hole. They hit the ball, and then you got to walk down the fairway some more. And I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the dude was born with I think some sort of birth thing and birth defect in his left or right leg, and the guy just couldn't walk. And it's like, really, like, you're not gonna let the guy play the sport because he just wants to be able to play it and be on the, not, I mean, he wasn't asking to use giant clubs, or, he just wanted to be on the same level as everyone else, which I'm looking now, actually. Casey Martin, a Oregon guy, born in Eugene, Oregon.
You've got to
capital.
You've got to go case by case. I mean, I'm sorry to bother the commission, but that's the way they have to approach these matters. They got to go case by case on the TRT coming off of it, on anybody that pops for anything illegal. Let's just do that, and have a hearing before you make a ruling. That sounds fair to me. For instance, what's going to come up now? I'm predicting it. It's only a matter of time. I hope someone at the commission has the foresight to think of this. Marijuana is legal in some states now. What do they have in place for people that have to medically be prescribed marijuana? It's legit for some people. And let's say there's a fighter that has to be legit. He's got to be prescribed marijuana. He's going to pop for it. He's on it legally where he lives, but he's got to fight somewhere else. What do they have to say about that when it becomes a real issue? Because right now, marijuana, it's still just labeled a banned substance, right? They lowered the threshold or whatever, so you can't be smoking as much. It's like, see, that's how you know it's bullshit. It's like, it's okay in a minuscule amount, but you're not banning it outright anymore. It's bullshit.
Well, I think that when Pat Healy got popped for it, I think shortly after, from what somebody explained to me, was they changed the lowest line of what you could test for, whatever that percentage was. Mm-hmm. They increased that by like 10%, 10 times what that number was. Now, I'm just, like, you know what I mean? Because exactly what you said.
Either it's legal or it's not.
It's exactly.
They're playing.
And you know what?
Yep.
And it should be a situation of, like, you show up to the fight, you show up to competition, you show up to work, whatever it is. If you're on it as you're doing your job or you're competing, then I understand, you can't drive a company vehicle around on drugs or juiced up on, coke or marijuana or something. But what people decide to do outside of their job is nobody's business. You know what I mean? I've known guys at my old job that, got popped for, they stubbed their toe at work and they had to go take a drug test and they failed it because they, smoked marijuana with their, buddies 2 weeks before somewhere. I mean, You know what? If you're not doing it at work, it's nobody's business. There needs to be more of a separation between people's personal life and the control that the jobs and corporations and everything have over people. I mean, it's unfortunate, man.
A really great example of that is Matt Riddle, who lived in the state of Nevada, had a license in the state to, be able to use it medically, beat Chris Clements summer 2012, beat Che Mills earlier than the next year, but both fights were turned into no contests because he tested positive for a drug that he was medically prescribed, and not just tested positive. Both times he had trace amounts. Both times it was obvious he hadn't smoked the night of. He probably didn't smoke month of, but he had very, very low trace amounts. And it's like, well, you obviously weren't high during the fight, but we see that a few weeks ago you probably smoked pot, which I am totally down for drug testing guys night of, seeing like, well, was this guy jacked up on X or jacked up on Y? But I don't care whether you're a UFC fighter, you work for Walmart, you're a fat cat working in a skyscraper. Yes, if you have a job, the people who give you that job have got to make sure you're not doing drugs while you're at work, but they do not own you. They cannot say what you can and can't do outside of work. And that whole thought of, oh well, you might just be here 40 hours a week. You cannot tell me what I can and can't do at nights, weekends, as long as it's not messing me up at work.
Absolutely ridiculous.
They don't own you.
Yeah, we had a my last job. I'll just say it because Comcast is a crap company to work for. But they came into our office one day with forms they wanted us to sign because they were going to start doing random credit checks.
What?
They wanted to start doing random credit checks on our credit to guess to figure out what our finances were. And a couple of guys were kind of, one of the guys specifically in my department, his wife was a HR director for another big corporation. And he called her and he came back. He says, "I'm not signing this. Are you crazy?" And enough of us kind of put up a fuss about it where they backed off. Well, you don't have to sign it.
Why would they?
What the hell did you bring it in for then?
What possible reason could they have for that? That is.
I have no idea. They're trying to like some type of like a character type. They hire like some psychologist that's going to come in there and do like personality tests and figure out which guys they want to weed out. I have no clue. It was the weirdest thing. Okay, you throw GPS on everybody's truck. You're going to babysit them. And then they wanted to. They do random vehicle reports on what your driving record is for insurance purposes. Okay, well, credit check? Like, dude, seriously.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Get out of my life. Like, what is, you hired me. That's good enough.
Yeah, no matter what, that one, it's not for any positive reason whatsoever.
No,
so, yeah,
no way.
Why would you volunteer that information? There's no way any good's going to come out of it. That's ridiculous. But that's exactly what we're seeing here, man. We're just seeing policies rolled out, people stamping, getting paid because there's a part-time commissioner. All these guys are part-time, I guarantee you. But yeah, how wow. We could be here all night ranting against commissions, but we will wrap it up here. We will say goodbye to Coach Jamie Huey, and then me and Jake will take it out of here. I was afraid that Jake wouldn't make it through the podcast, but he did. I think he's going to be fine. I don't think he's going to lapse into a coma. So, Coach Huey, before we let you go, where can people follow up with you, contact you, stalk or praise you? What's happening? Any news you want to announce? What's going on?
Man, well, I guess the news is, congratulations to Chael, to Brittany, and Claudia, and the whole family. I think that's really the biggest thing, to come out of all this today was, Chael and Brittany having a baby. I'm excited about that.
If you had to call it right now, what would you name the kid if it was a boy or a girl? If you had to call, if Chael was like, what should I name my son? What would you hit him with? Besides
I don't
Jamie,
know, man. Is there a name
just Jamie
worthy of the future leader of the free world? I mean, this guy, he's got some big shoes to fill. I don't know. Call him Junior. How about that? I think that's a good name.
Yeah, why not give him the
Chael
same
Jr.
name? I think it should be a junior, man. He should go for it. He should build the dynasty.
There you go.
Yep. But Coach, where can we
follow me on Twitter at Coach Jamie Huey, Instagram at Coach Jamie Huey, website, even though I need to probably get on there and update it, but www.coachjamiehuey.com. And I'll be down in Vegas hopefully soon. Hit me up. I'm excited about the Yao and Allen thing. As soon as I get down there, we'll go talk to Eric over there at Extreme Couture, and we'll get that all kind of laid out and in place, and it'll be fun, man. We can't wait to stream that.
Hell yeah, man. Hopefully, yes, the Yao versus Allen rematch is what he's referring to. It's going down International Fight Week in Vegas. I'll stream it live. They're both regular callers and listeners to this show. Yao and Allen, they
Good
are
ass
fighting
friends
each other.
too.
Well, that's the story that we're putting out there, huh? The truth is, Allen is a racist cop from Louisiana, and Yao is a young African American youth from Queens, New York, and they're
Gangbanger.
rematching, and it's going to be streamed live. Hopefully, Coach is going to be there. We need you now that the Chael versus Vitor fight isn't happening.
This is the main event.
Yep, definitely. This is the main
This is
attraction.
what's going to save this fight here. The real story here is this fight between Yao and Allen is probably what's going to save that whole fight card that weekend.
You're damn right, man.
Couldn't be any
the
more
whole
true.
UFC Expo, everything is coming down to Yao versus Allen. So
Hell yeah.
it's going to be big.
Hell yeah. Hopefully you'll be there, and hopefully you'll ref. Well, you might as well ref this thing. And
Absolutely, I'm in.
hell yeah. Stone Cold would give you a hell yeah at this point. So yeah, people, but more on that later. But Coach Jamie Huey, I can't thank you enough for coming on once again. Yes, definitely congratulations to the son and family. But Coach, pleasure as always. Hopefully we'll talk to you in 7 days. But of course, I'll talk to you before that here shortly, man. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
man.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too, man. Take it easy.
Later, Coach.
There he goes, Coach Jamie, the living legend Huey from Team Son and Fame. He's a 2-time winner on The Ultimate Fighter, the television show, when he's coached, co-assistant coach on The Ultimate Fighter for Team Sonnen. Also working with numerous people in the MMA business. Boxing is his focus. He's a legend, guys, all right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he is literally a world-renowned boxing coach. We he comes on our show every week, which is crazy because the guy does sessions in Brazil and Mexico City and America. He's going camp to camp from Oregon, from Team Quest down to Vegas at Extreme Couture. I mean, this is not just some random boxing coach. This is seriously. I'm not just blowing smoke up his ass. He is a world-renowned coach.
He definitely is, man. You see him, just go to his website, CoachJamieHuey.com. Just take a look at the photos there. Him just hanging out, just having a good time with the likes of whining and dining with the likes of Dana White, Lorenzo, Mike
Could
Tyson, Mayweather,
not be a nicer guy too.
Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Coach Clayton Hires, Scott McQuarrie, Vinny Magalhaes. The list goes on. Bomba. It's ridiculous. What the hell was I going to say? Oh, yeah, a little something that people don't know about the coach. I'll drop it right here. You didn't hear it from me, people. But I don't know if you've ever, for those of you that haven't seen a picture of Coach Jamie Huey, go look it up. And I'll just drop this here. I won't get into it, but he was a stunt double for Stone Cold Steve Austin in several of his movies and in a few matches, wrestling matches.
What?
That's the bottom line, people.
And that's the bottom line.
Yep. Jake, man, we are going to wrap it up, but you know what? I don't know if he's coming on or not. I was hoping to have, with the good news about Chael Sonnen having a baby. I did want to talk a little bit about how, I fathered a son of my own. And
Is he on the call? I see he's there, but he hasn't piped up yet tonight.
you never know when he's going to do a run-in. But he's my bastard son, Ross Finkelstein. And with all this news about Chael having a baby, I had a tear in my eye, almost single tear, thinking about, the old days. I left Ross's mother shortly after he was born. I left them. I abandoned them, and I don't regret that at all. I laughed my ass off. I laughed my ass off, dude. I couldn't have pushed down that gas pedal harder.
What?
All right. I drove that thing until it ran out of gas and it broke down. I just ran away laughing from the car. I just kept running. I used to hold Ross, my bastard infant son, in my arms. I used to hold him up, just thinking about power slamming him through the crib.
Was he a cute baby, or?
His head was giant. It was ridiculous. I doubt that he was my son, and he was all Jewish. That's right. Ross Finkelstein is the best Jew in the business. I don't know if he'll join us tonight. Who knows? But it is time to wrap it up. But I do want to mention real quick one last topic, Jake. Jason High getting cut from the UFC. He shoved the ref in protest. I actually didn't see this live because I believe this was either during my nap or when I was making a submarine sandwich, a hoagie, if you will. So I didn't see this live, but I saw the replays. I've seen. I didn't even comment on it. I thought it. I was like, yeah. If it were me, I would cut this guy. But Dana wasn't there at the fights. Apparently, he saw it. Jason High is cut, shoving the ref, Kevin Mulhall. Jake, man, do you have anything about this? What do you think, man? Was it too harsh, too extreme, or is this what should be done when you're acting like a thug instead of a professional fighter?
I don't know. I mean, it is right on the line where I can't really tell because 5 seconds before that, Rafael dos Anjos was pummeling him in the back of the head, and similarly to the way we'll see fighters as they're just being beaten up, and a ref tries to stop it. They might try and grab a leg of the ref just being mixed up. It's right on the line because High came to his senses, stood up, and was in the process of arguing that it was an early stoppage when the ref was sort of walking at him and he shoved him. If it had been a second before, if High hadn't been in the process of saying that it was an early stoppage, I would say I don't really like it. But the UFC has really got to draw a line, because the second the fight is stopped, you can't do any more punching. Like the whole Daly thing. That obviously was way worse than High. But once the fight's over and it seems that you've come to your senses and you're not fully with it, shoving a ref, shoving a fighter, punching anyone, that's just a thing the UFC has got to have zero tolerance for. I guess they looked at it and chose that that he was to his senses and shoved him. I don't really know. I feel kind of bad for Jason High, the Kansas City Bandit. But you know what? The guy will obviously find a lot of success in lower fighting or organizations. And I don't think this is a thing where the UFC will give him a lifetime ban. I think if he finds a lot of success again, then the UFC will probably look at bringing him back.
My God. Who cares? This guy acted like a thug. He needs to go. You don't put your hands on a referee. Hey, it's one of these things where it's just, let's not be the commission on this point. Let's in the fact that it's either black or white, let's do that. But at Glory
11, Glory 11, Gokhan Saki tripped and fell, and the judge scored it a knockdown when it really wasn't. It was more of a slip, and Saki got really mad. And if I remember right, he sort of shoved the ref similarly to how High did, and that was in the middle of a fight, and he got absolutely zero punishment for it. So
I'd have to look at that again. I don't remember that. That might be a Japanese
think if I was in charge, I would have let it slide because it wasn't like, High loaded up and threatened to punch or did really anything. He just sort of gave him a little love nudge, and I think it's probably something that Dana and Lorenzo should have called High into the UFC offices and given him a stern talking to, and said, Jason, if you do anything close to this ever again, push a ref, do anything, like, you are on thin ice, you are on double probation. But as far as cutting him, I mean, you just matched him up against one of the best lightweights in the world. Highs looked good against guys, who aren't top 10, aren't top 15. So I'm sort of sad to see him go, simply because he's got a lot of talent, and I honestly don't think it was bad enough to warrant him getting cut.
It's so rare. Like, it's like everyone else is in fight mode. You don't see them shoving off the refs like they're Brock Lesnar shoving a cop in the walkout. Like, no, we don't need those kinds of people. I'm sorry. I don't care how good they are, how flashy they are. You made it to that high level, that professional level, biggest fight of your life. Yeah, and you're gonna act like a thug? I'm sorry. It's too elite of an organization, a professional organization, for this shit to happen. So yeah, run it out.
I mean,
kick them out.
This still is an organization run by Dana White, who drops on average 7.8 fucks per minute. So I don't know if you really can.
I'm surprised Uncle Dana wasn't like, well, guess what? Chael was taking it was a fertility drug because he was trying to have a baby. And guess what? He's fucking having a baby. I'm surprised Dana didn't announce the news that way. I got to be honest.
Dude, Dana blew up Chael's spot so bad. Like,
he's having a fucking baby.
Normally, you make cards, you send it to very close relatives, looks like we're expecting, etc., etc. Instead, you just get a cut-in on Fox Sports 1 on America's pregame.
And who was that
Dana's
son
like,
of a bitch?
"Hey, you fucking goofs, he's having a baby, hey." I don't know why I'm making him sound like a Goomba.
That son of a bitch anchor on Fox News. The guy that, like...
I hate that guy, dude.
It's like, dude, man, you didn't at least say congratulations to Chael? That was weird. Like, it distracted me from what was going on. I'm like, why isn't this guy saying congratulations on the baby that you just announced? It's
Mike
like, is he
Hill.
even listening? Is he even listening to what Chael is saying? Is he just reading questions? It seemed that way. It was weird.
The one thing that really kind of bugged me is Mike Hill was asking questions like he had no idea about the entire thing. Like, Chael would explain a bunch of stuff, and then Hill would like ask him about something he had just explained. Like Hill, like I've actually been watching Fox Sports 1 a bunch because I love sports, and I would watch ESPN literally, like, I want to say
white guys are terrible too.
I want to say a year ago, my television watching was probably 95% ESPN, and the one thing that really bugs me about that channel is they just get one topic, whether it's Tim Tebow, now it's LeBron James. They just focus on one thing and beat the dead horse just over and over and over. Fox Sports 1 mixes it up a little bit more, but this Mike Hill guy, literally, I think I was watching that same show like a week or two ago, and they were going so over the top with the Donald Sterling story. It was this same Mike Mike Hill dude, like literally starts the show with, "Man, I'm sick and tired of talking about Donald Sterling." And then they literally follow
And they
that
spend an
with
hour.
45 minutes talking about Donald Sterling. Like, are
Yep.
you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah, man. The problem with it's like it's not even UFC tonight. What do you think is going to happen on UFC tonight tomorrow? What the hell's Chael going to say? I mean, he's just going to repeat himself again. I mean, Kenny Florian is going to be there. He was kind of on Twitter. He was taken up for Chael, man. I was you know what? Hats off to Mr. Kenny Florian, man, for also realizing what this is. This isn't like a cover up to where, like, man, Chael's our favorite, man. We just got to, go with him on this. Whatever. No, this is a serious case of where the rules are just on the fly. It doesn't make any sense. This guy was painted into a corner, basically. Bottom line, was not cheating, and now here we are. No fights happening. Chael's career is in question. Vitor lost a fight. Brazil lost a fight. The Ultimate Fighter Season 3 Brazil led up to no fight happening whatsoever. And the fans lost out, man. You guys were going to be there in Vegas, man. You were planning on seeing Uncle Chael fight. You were planning on meeting up with him, talking to him, scoring exclusive interviews for this podcast, of course. Now this is happening.
I mean,
I'd be
honestly,
pissed off if I were you, man.
I like it. It could go either way. It might be a bad call for Chael to go to Vegas during that week, just because you're gonna have so many dumb, un, un uneducated fans wearing tap out shirts who will like see Chael and be like, "Oh, cheater," blah 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 blah. But it is International Fight Week. It is the UFC Expo. Chael is, one of the biggest names in the company, so I still do really hope he is in Vegas during that week. And if he is, I mean, he'll have a lot less to do if he isn't on the card. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe.
You think they put another fight on that UFC 175 card, because obviously the main event is Weidman versus Lyoto. The co-main event will be Rousey versus Alexis Davis. After that, it was going to be Sonnen versus Vitor, which was originally going to be Sonnen versus Wand. But now in that spot, I'm assuming the fight that'll be bumped up is Uriah Faber versus Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres.
No, Jesus. Oh,
I
man,
mean,
what a slobber knock.
yeah. I mean, so right now at
Wait,
this point,
why is Vitor out at this point?
We're about 3.5 weeks. Like, honestly, if the NSAC gives Vitor a license after testing with high levels and doesn't give Chael a license for simply testing for substances to get him to normal levels, if that's what they end up doing, straight up, I'm gonna be livid, dude.
Well, I thought it was like two separate. It was considered two separate incidents since like Vitor popped for that Weidman competition, but I thought they retested him specifically just to see if he was clear to fight now. I thought that was the deal.
I don't think it should be
I think he
treated
reapplied
any
for a
different.
license.
I don't think it should be treated any different, because in February, Belfort tested for high levels. Now I guess I don't know if the test was in May or what, but Chael tested for a banned substance. So if they are going to go forth with taking action on this, both of them should probably get 9-month suspensions, retroactive to when they tested positive. Honestly, I mean, what they should do is look at it on a case by case basis and objectively say, well, Chael is taking these things to get to a normal level. The whole Vitor thing, I honestly don't know enough about it to say whether or not he should get a license, but the fact is he tested off the charts for T. So I mean, honestly, if
Power
the guy
levels.
was just coming down from it, maybe that's fair. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
the juice was loose.
I don't know, man.
Just
Where the
fucking
fuck
let
is
it be.
Ross? Ross has been on this Skype call the entire time. I know he just got a fancy new Taylor guitar, but that is
Being called out. Yeah, we are wrapping up the
that
show.
is
It is
no
open mic
excuse.
format. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Might as well everybody
Let's wrap
turn
this
on,
shit
flip
up
on,
right now.
break down the fourth wall, so
Oh,
to
yeah.
speak. The Wizard of Oz curtain. But yeah, let's get to ending this damn thing. Any other topics that mattered?
Topics that mattered. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
anything
gonna
that
we're
actually
gonna
mentioned
break down all of the fights tomorrow on the MMA podcast. Sorry, I've been huffing a shitload of pain, and I've been sort of going in and out. But
No, I'm right behind you, dude.
Did you watch the first episode of UFC 141? Jesus Christ, UFC 174 Inbreaded, where Dana gets drunk and buys a smart car.
Hell yeah, man. What's his deal, man? Like it was like he bought the smart car and then he was go-karting, or was he go-karting and then he was like, I want to buy a tiny ass car so that it feels like I'm go-karting all the time. How much money is this guy working with? His house
I
in
have
Maine.
no idea.
He's popping off fireworks when it really isn't near the 4th of July. I didn't get what was going
And
on with
like
that.
all of them are going off, and fucking dudes screaming,
Yeah.
I bought all these fireworks from gambling. Like, thank you, Palms. And his little kids are there. Like,
So
I
basically,
don't know. I gotta the guy is living the exact same life I would live if I was rolling in that much dough. So zero hate. Dana White is a ton of people hate on Dana so bad. Dana White, you are living the American dream. I'm giving all my respect, buddy.
no kidding, man. Yeah, and thanks for having Chael's back on this. The UFC is behind Chael Sonnen. That's a positive as well. This is bullshit. They see it for what it is. Dana White knows what the hell this is. He's known it since day one. This is just business as usual as far as he's concerned with dealing with the commission and their bullshit rules made up out of nowhere. Just throwing, what are they, just working angles, throwing plot holes, like plot twists at them? It's ridiculous. But yeah, Embedded episode 1's out there, and Embedded 2, the newest episode of Embedded, just dropped this hour. Yes. So that's out there. Check out Dana White's Twitter. I'll retweet it here. But yeah, episode 2 is out just now, a couple minutes ago. I'll check that out here in a few minutes, because it is time to wrap up
Let's get the
this
fuck
damn
out
show.
of here.
You're damn right, people. We will send it off here on the Word in the Street podcast. Congratulations to the Sonnen family, Chael, Brittany, Mama Sonnen, Miss Claudia, of course, nothing but respect. Congratulations to her. She's going to be a grandmother. The greatest, the legend will continue. The Sonnen family name will live on. This is a momentous day in MMA history. All right, forget this crap about the NSAC not having their crap together. There's new life coming in, and guess what? It's going to be the son of Sonnen. I can't wait, people. Jake, say goodbye to these people, and then I'll just quickly send us out of here.
Yeah, we're always on Twitter at the MMA Podcast. Visit themmapodcast.com. We do it every Wednesday night, which is tomorrow night. We're going to be breaking down the fights. Last weekend's fight night card, Bindo versus Kabalov, the Pearson robbery. We're going to be talking about all of that, talking about all the MMA news that has come down the horn this week. Of course, we're going to break down UFC 174. That's going to be the flyweight championship, Mighty Mouse versus Bag of Tuna. We're also going to have the Co-main, which is an awesome welterweight scrap between Tyron Woodley and Rory McDonald. We'll be breaking it all down. Me, Ramses, the Jew, a couple other friends. We love doing it every Wednesday night, same time, 9 p.m. Pacific. We also have UFC flyweight Josh Sampo on tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. As always, Ramses, it is an honor to be on the Word on the Street, and we'll see you next Tuesday with the Word.
You're damn right, people. And those asking if there's going to be an episode next Tuesday, yes, but the new EA UFC game does come out. So
it's going to be a really short ass, honestly, me and Ramses will be streaming bouts between me and him. So check out that. It's going to be a tiny bit of pod and then just me and Ramses playing the shitload out of this game on Ustream as well, I think.
Sounds good. That's exactly right, people.
Taking requests, whoever you want me and him to fight as, we will do it. Sorry to keep cutting you off, brother.
No, man. No. Yeah, enough of this bullshit. We'll see you next week, people. Thanks for listening. And, of course, that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Word on the street.
Stay black.
Beat him up, break his neck, beat him up.
Play, take me through it.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you gon' get. Don't you ever talk about me.
Who was talking about you?
Crabtree, don't you open your mouth about the best. Or I'm gonna shut it for you real quick. LOB.